And welcome back to Sports Check on this Monday morning. And like we are saying, Chan iko KBC. And, you know, this evening, Niger against Guinea. And also we have got Uganda against Algeria from the Mandela National Stadium. And yes, to everyone's enjoying this tournament, it's under the banner of Pamoja. And we'll see how every country is hosting and the kind of excitement that comes with it. So watch out for that. And also we have got Dunda Dunda. Dunda Dunda, basically, those guys are not serious. Leave us the people who talk, you know, tactics and all of that when you're doing the analysis. Don't worry. That means that from 3 o'clock, you're fully engaged until 10:30 p.m. Stay on KBC Channel 1. Chan iko KBC. Now, I mentioned to you about this book. It's called Kickoff. It was written by veteran journalist and author Roy Gashuhi, and I would call him, you know, the master of long reads when it comes to the newspapers. And he told the story of Kenyan football from 1926. Now, here's the thing. Kenya's first game was against Uganda, and it was played at Landmawe. That's Kenya Railway Zone. And so it was between the railway workers from Uganda and those from Kenya. And onwards, the story told. But the people who published it have been doing a job of curating Kenya's history from over the years. Think of the cabinet, the president, things that have happened all over that time. It is known as the Kenya Yearbook Editorial Board, and we're joined by the CEO, Madam Lilian Kimeto. Karibu CEO.
Thank you very much, and it's good to have, thank you for having us this morning as part of the Chan experience, such a great experience.
Well, and you can see she's also supporting Kenya. Amejihami with the Kenya jacket. But, you know, for example, at the Kenya Yearbook Editorial Board, this is one of the books that you have done about sports. But, you know, the push to tell the Kenyan sports story through pictures and words, how it was conceived.
Thank you very much. Maybe I'll just start by saying that we are a state corporation that supports government communication through publishing and printing, and hence publications such as the one before you. Actually, for sports, we have two publications so far. We have Kickoff, which, as you said, was done with us with Roy Gashuhi, and we have the Olympics of Nia that was done last year as our team headed to Paris for the Olympics. Our mandate is to tell the story of Kenya jointly with the people of Kenya, because history has a way of putting things into context. The past informs the present and the future. It also helps us to nuance. Even for Chan 2025, the nuances are in Kickoff. So we are a lever. You know, communication globally is a lever. While other agencies will be legislating, others will be taxing, there'll be someone communicating, and that is the space where we come in. So we are a part of you, and we are a part of you in the storytelling of Chan, just to give context and to get the generation of now to appreciate where it all began. I didn't know about why our first president never ever watched football. Until I read Kickoff of us being scored by Black Stars 6 by the first half.
9-0 at halftime.
At halftime. and just to let you know, in my other life I had been a footballer, a midfielder.
Okay, that's.
We'll talk about that later.
We'll talk about that.
Yes.
But when you look at, you know, some of the key stories told here, when Roy did it, because I know one of the first things he did, you know, telling about the beginnings, and you know, it was Kenya and Uganda and the little stories and some of the players who come. What's the perspective you get about the foundation of Kenyan football?
The foundation of Kenyan football is this born out of our national character of togetherness, of fun and play, of doing stuff together. And football had been with us. Nobody brought it to us. It was here with us. And that is why even when the colonialists came and they were helping to put together a team, the Germans who helped us and everyone else, there was already ready talent, there was already mindset, and there was already space for football in our country. And those things just need to be put together. I see football was not just fun and pastime, but it spoke to national cohesion. If you look at the people who made contribution to Kenya, whether it's Bobby Ogola, whether it's Job Amino, all these legends of the past, there is a way that their sense of playing football was just more than fun. It was defending the nation using their talent. And so that has been something that's very unique about Kenyan football. We love it. We love it, and we use it to express our nationhood.
Well, also inside this book is a story of one man who was a superstar by day, but the moment the sun sets, everything changed. Daniel Nicodemus, footballer by day, gangster by night. But it tells of how to develop, of how there's a gap in developing a holistic person. Because we know we may have lost some footballers to crime, like the case of Daniel Nicodemus. What's the message that, I mean, that you would like, to be delivered to the people through the story of Daniel Nicodemus?
Thank you so much. And generally through this publication kickoff, we at Kenya Yearbook would like to draw the attention of everyone to the sports industry, and in this context, football. The sports industry in Kenya is really robust. It's as I've said, it's in our DNA, it's in our minds. We just need to put structure to it. From the end, even how we scout for talent, there are so many. Nicodemus was just a young child growing and had talent. The other things were picked along the way. Probably we missed it by grounding this child in talent, grounding them in values, and it would have dealt with the other part that wasn't very nice, and then grown the nice part. There's a lot of talent in our country, and if you look at high school games, for example, the kind of football that goes on in our high school, my friend, is amazing. But where do they go to? So we're calling attention to us as a society, the policy makers putting in place the right policies, investors investing in infrastructure. If you look at our country, government has really done its best, but there is space for investment, for people to invest in sports, football spaces, in estates, in villages, and it's an investment space. I think that is something as a society we have never looked into. Academia, we need to study and research more about talent in our country. How do we position the talent end to end, such that once a child has been identified to have talent in football, right at the grassroots and the young level, how do we grow it? And we've seen other countries really grow their own talent. I think it's time we really paid attention into that, and academia researchers would come in, parents, guardians, owners of football clubs. So this is actually a deep conversation is required, and it will help to position our talent, channel it nicely. We are very blessed. We have real original talent that is already out there, Origi, Olunga, lately Kibet. And what does that speak about Kenya? We have so much that is lying. We just need to put structure into it. And that is one of the things that we as a storytellers at Kenya Yearbook are causing us to talk about.
Well, you mentioned the grassroots, and there is a very interesting story that is from Kenyan football. There is a town at times people forget. It's now known more as a party town than anything else. We are talking about Nakuru and how you can get great footballers, not just around Nairobi, not just around Mombasa, Kakamega, Kisumu, but even from the odd places here and there. What's the story that Roy told in this book, Kickoff?
I might not.
But see because, for example, Aldrin Kibet is Kitale based.
Yes.
The kind of talent that the country possesses, how can we learn from that?
Talk of Nakuru, and Afraha. I grew up just down the road of Nakuru, but I would always see great footballers of Nakuru High School, Menengai High School, and the talk of Afraha. So I think Nakuru, Mombasa, and of course Nairobi, Jamhuri, Down City Stadium are some of the birthplaces of the great talent that we've seen in our country. And football in Kenya we have everything that footballers, we have the physique, we have one of the things our first president complained that day when we were being rained on goals. He said, where's Kipchoge Keino? He asked it where he was. So maybe Nakuru has the physique, the running and everything that we require for football. Yes, but Nakuru has its place in our history.
Well, the other thing that we all know, you can't talk about Kenyan football without talking about the color that comes with the FC Leopards. Gor Mahia. Now we have got Shabana. But even in yesteryears, if you went to Eldoret, they had Rivertex and Eldoret KCC.
Yes.
If you went to Thika, they had KTM. Nairobi was very busy. Nakuru had Nakuru All Stars. Mombasa at one point, they had Coast Stars. Malindi had Alaskan. What is this thing about football and a local culture and what people refer to as community clubs, or a club they can say, we are owning it from this point?
As I said earlier, we own our football in Kenya. We might not be in the A series, we might not be at Premier League, but we own our football. And so we we actually immerse ourselves in our football. Look at our dances. You talked about AFC Leopards, Gor Mahia. There's a whole subculture. And I wish we can write, I wish more publications can even emerge, the subculture within our football clubs. You talked about Rivertex. Yes, my hometown now city is Eldoret. So I watched Rivertex a little when I was a young girl. As I told you, I really love football. And had I played football, I'd have been a midfielder. I love midfield. It's where the battle is won or lost. It's where the game is shaped. So our own culture shapes our subcultures and shape our football teams, and hence the ownership within community. And I think we need to leverage that. For example, how have we nationalized the cultures of our football teams? Now we have Shabana coming up. It had gone a bit quiet coming up. How do we nationalize? And it becomes part of our national identity. When I was growing up in the 80s, weekends were days to look forward to, because you'd be going to Kisii for a Shabana match, going to Kisumu and it just made the happiness index of our country. Ask ourselves, what do we do as Kenyans? Do you travel to Kisumu for football? Would you go to Thika for football? But that was happening in the yesteryears.
It was happening in the yesteryears.
And there was a lot of national bonding.
Yes.
And it speaks to sports as a tool for national cohesion. By the way, our identities never interfered with our national cohesion. We appreciated the diversity of Shabana, of AFC, of Gor Mahia, Thika, all these places, all these Malindi, but still they fed into our national cohesion.
Well, and I can tell you the banter around football has always been great. And, CEO, the overall reaction to this publication called Kickoff, because I know the other book that we've got is a 60-year journey of medaling Kenya at the Olympics. We'll talk about this. But first of all, the overall reaction to this book from the people whose stories are told, because I know I met some of them at the book launch. And, they were telling little stories, beyond all of this. What has been the feedback to the Kenya Yearbook Editorial Board?
I would say mixed, because us Kenyans don't like reading. And we are calling us to reading and share stories. As a matter of fact, we are looking forward to a lot of these people writing their own. We'd bet hand to support them to write their own stories. Africans, we are not very good sometimes at telling our own stories. It's good to document them. As I said, they go beyond us. They live beyond us. This book will live beyond Roy, will live beyond. It will live beyond all of us. And when we document them, the knowledge that is there and the one that we talked about is amazing. Even team tactics is nuanced. You can see some of the things that informed the team tactics for Harambee Stars, some of the knowledge that was there prior. So we have continually encouraged those who we have documented to share their knowledge, and also we partner with them in telling their stories, even under their own names, because we have grandchildren of some of these amazing legends, Motego, Henry Motego, J.J. Masiga, and great, very great Kenyans who, unless we hear their stories, we will never understand their contribution to our great society. And it's very important because, as I said earlier, history connects the past, the present, and the future.
Right. Actually, the highest point for Kenyan football, I have to say, 87-88, Gor Mahia winning the Nelson Mandela Cup, Kenya qualifying for an Africa Cup of Nations for the first time in 16 years. When these stories are told, because the legends, think of Bobby Ogola, the late Austin Odor, Tobias Ochola, David Ochieng Kamoga, the late Samuel Nyango Jogo, the late Abbas Hamis Magongo. When you look at that, it's actually in this page. What kind of inspiration do you want them? Do you want it to go down to these people? I mean, because if you look at, if I think of Austin Odor, the late Austin Odor, his son played for Kenya, Arnold Origi, and that means probably a grandson now is the one who would be there. What's the inspiration that this literature provides?
First is to show our country our own legends, our own icons, to tell the world Kenya has their own Maradonas. We have our own Peles. Yes, we have them here. And we must celebrate them because they've made a contribution. Every nation must celebrate its own. So one, we celebrate them. Two is now to build on their successes. Where they left it at, how do we continue from there? And I think that is the essence of knowledge sharing and knowledge management. This is what the contribution these legends made. How do we proceed from here? How do we build on the foundations that they laid? That is the spirit of that book.
Well, if you go through the pictorial sections of this book, it's how it has changed. From when they would play barefoot, but they were strapped in tape. Brian, I don't know if you can get this picture right here. Yes, see how well you can get into this picture. Zoom in. This is a football team from 1959. This is the Maragoli FC team that won the Kenyan FA Cup in 1959. If you can just take a look at this. Yes, there you go. They did not play with boots then. All they had was a lot of bandaging. I think only one person had boots at that point, and that was the goalkeeper. But what do these pictures tell? Because people would be surprised. They played barefoot then, and right now, boots are actually a fashion statement.
We did what we did with the resources at hand. That is the Kenyan spirit. The Kenyan spirit is you have a task, deliver. You don't have shoes, you have the leg. Of course, the industry has changed. Globally, we've benefited from technology and innovations in terms of sportswear, the kind of shoes. And so we've become a part of this global. Probably, we need to look at that picture and tell ourselves, shouldn't we have grown our own Kenyan shoe?
A brand of boots.
Yes. Maragoli.
Maragoli FC, Maragoli boots.
Yes.
So every FC Leopards fan will buy that.
You would buy it.
I would also buy that.
Yes. Because it's our own thing. And really, my brother, Chan for me is an opportunity to see, to look inward and say, how do we grow our own football industry from every perspective, from the investment perspective, because football is contributing to the GDP clearly. Football is contributing to empowerment and livelihoods for all these children who have talent. Football is contributing to a national cohesion, I've said, and sense of nation happiness. Football is contributing to science and through research and development. And so there's a whole ocean of opportunities. And probably we just need to, in the context of Chan, get ourselves there and see how, because there's so much talent and there's so much that football can offer for us in our country.
Well, that's...
We have not scratched.
We haven't scratched it.
Yes.
Well, that's the book Kickoff. So if you want to get the real history of Kenyan football from 1926, it covered about 80 years of Kenyan football, because if you've got to talk about the Origis who played well up to around 2010, then this is where you get the book. It was written by Roy Gashui, edited by the Kenya Yearbook Editorial Board. It's published. It's a coffee table book. You should read this and find out, like the CEO said, why Mzee Jomo Kenyatta attended only 45 minutes of a football match in his entire presidency. And that was way back in 64.
And it's only available at 99 Kenya shillings. We've provided an e-book for the same. Let's buy only 99 Kenya shillings. There's a QR code, find it on our platforms, scan and read, and we enjoy it.
100 bob, half a liter of fuel. I mean, that's what we would say. And moving on, there's another book, and this was also published by the Kenya Yearbook Editorial Board. This is 60 years of Kenya at the Olympics. It was authored by Robin Toskin, Elias Makori, and Jonathan Komen. And they put together this, picking up, getting these people, because this is, I think, the second book I have seen fully dedicated to the Kenyan Olympics. I think the last one was published in, 2004 by the National Olympic Committee of Kenya. But
and why we did that last year is because it was our 60th year appearing at the Olympics. So it was a special moment for Kenya.
Well, and when you think, and when you take a look at Kenya appearing at the Olympics, I mean, Kenya had been to Melbourne, Tokyo, but then from 1964, everything changed. From Wilson Kiprugut Chuma's bronze medal to Faith Kipyegon doing a double. The Olympic story, how did this, come up for whenever you are putting it together, and the editors were trying to work on this book? Interesting enough. But before we even talk about that, this book was written by 3 editors. So how do you editors manage other editors?
No, the book is a publication of the Kenya Book Editorial Board, but we partner with
the writers,
with individuals like the sports athletics experts you have mentioned. So it's a partnership, but it's a publication for our organization. And the reason why we partner together is because of the knowledge that they have. They have journeyed with our athletic sector, and so they have certain experiences inside of Kenya, outside of Kenya, that would make the reading richer. So, as you can see, we are partnering with other partners in the media sector, so that out of it we get a publication that is really a good read for everyone.
The other thing that, you had to collaborate, a lot with the National Olympic Committee of Kenya also to put together these stories.
Yes.
How did they respond to it when they found out that their stories were going to be curated?
One thing I must say about Kenya is that we are all willing to share knowledge, and that's something that's really beautiful. Even KBC has a lot of material that we all share this material, and that partnership is what gives our readers depth. Some of these stories, they can only be told from the National Olympic Committee perspective, some of them from the athletes themselves, some of them from their families, coaches. So that is the model, that is the approach that we normally apply, because if we were to just sit and write, it would not give us the richness, it would not give the different perspectives that finally come out once the book is out. But allow me to say something about the Olympics of Nia. Kenya is a global Olympic powerhouse. And sometimes internally we do not realize that actually this book has been received more outside of our country. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Really?
Yes. And so I call us Kenyans to, sometimes, you know, we are so gifted, we are so blessed, we forget, or we take it for granted. Kenya is such a great brand out there, whether it's athletics itself or even our presence in Olympics. Remember, we have a medal in boxing.
Yes.
And we've documented Napunyi there. It's like everything that Kenya touches, somehow we weave success out of it.
And actually, the untold story of Philip Warwenge won a bronze medal in 1968, but was said to be
in boxing.
In boxing,
yes.
And he was given the Val Baker Trophy, which is for the best boxer at a tournament.
Yes.
The ironies of all of this. And what about this? When you, from what you know, and for example, when you read the story of people like Kipchoge, Keino, and Naftali Temu, get later to, you know, the steeplechasers. How do you, when you read it from, or if someone was to read it from this souvenir, how different would it? I mean, how different would they see these from? Or let me say, from what perspective would they see these athletes?
Any person taking that publication to read it will just appreciate that Kenya is a home of talent. All that talent is so granular. It is so authentic. It's in the DNA. If you look at how all those Naftali Temu, Kipchoge, Kiprogut, these are people who are just running, and then they ran, and then it morphed into a career. Just like we just talked about in kickoff, the Maragoli players. These are people who are, I don't know if you, in your childhood, you saw this ball that used to be weaved, and then boys toss it from one goal to another.
It was known as the Juala, and if you owned it, you were the FIFA president.
I'm telling you. So this book just, as we're gathering the stories, what was emerging is how granular our talent is. Promax.
All right. And Brian, they always say that when Kenya goes east, the medals seem to come easy. And here is a photo of 4 gold medalists. There's Peter Rono in the 1500 meters. Interesting enough, the first athlete to win a gold medal, coached by brother Colmo Cannell. We also have got Paul Ereng, who won in the 800 meters. There is Julius Kariuki, John Gogi, Peter Koech, Douglas Wakiori, who took silver. So this is a picture of the medalists from Seoul Olympics 1988, meeting with our former president, the late Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi. So this is that photo. You can see it. These photos have never gotten lost. And if, you know, people like Hori or Julius Kariuki were to see this, they really would want it. So they should get a copy of this book and see how their story has been told, having met actually with most of this. I think the only gold medalist who's not here is the late Wangila Napunyi. Yes. And this other photo that you see here of somebody training, this is Peter Odhiambo, who was training for the long jump, and we are talking for the 1960 Olympic Games in Rome. So you can see how everything has evolved over the years, to the current times when everything, even the measurement, is electronic. Right here, it was a rollout tape measure. Great stories always available here.
And by us framing those stories, we're also telling a young generation, if we look at Kenya today, where are we in terms of our talent? Are we growing or moving away from our talent with all the technology and everything that is available? I think it's just to call our young people to the opportunities in sports, the opportunities in their talents, and how they can leverage those opportunities for livelihoods. In those difficult days, those legends did what they did. How about now?
Well, actually, and now one of the other stories that, always brings out something is when people ask, so when did Kenyan women first go to the Olympics? Happened in 1968, and there were 3. Lydia Stevens, Elizabeth Chesire, and Tegla Chemobai, who is now known as Tegla Sang. When the story of women is told in this, and the inspiration that comes through, women like Catherine Trevor, who's won a silver, Nancy Jebet Langat winning a gold in the 1500 meters in 1988, Faith Kipyegon winning her first in 2016, and also going on to win others in subsequent, going to make a three-peat. What's the story of women in this book?
Actually, I think women have gotten more inspired by a book. If you look now, Kenya is the women sports icons that are doing better. I don't know where the boy child is.
Wanaume kutane kwa tent, nyuma ya tent.
And if you look at the icons you've just pointed out, Catherine Dereba, Milka Chemos, a lot of Janet Chepkosgei, a lot of them have gone back to coach and support talent. There is a lot of giving back to society, and probably that is what we need to encourage the legends who are around. How do they give back to the society, their skills, their own experiences, so that we build that into new legend and we have a sustainability. If you look at the steeple, for example, I keep, every time I get sad and I say, how do we use the Ezekiel Kemboys, the living legends that are still around, to build into the sustainability of us not only regaining but keeping the steeple home, because we believed it is our birthright.
Actually, talking about steeplechase, I've sat with some of these steeplechase legends, and after Kenya missing out on consecutive gold medals at the Olympics, I think they are livid. They want to actually cane those people who are out there. And at the end of it all, the reflections, forward-looking thing, and the coaching impact that's been told through this book, what's it to the Kenyans, so that Kenyans can also get this book, Kenya at the Olympics, a 60-year journey of medaling?
Again, the publication is available. We haven't done an e-copy. We are working on it, but it's hard copies are available in outside of our country. If for Kenyans living in Paris, it is available at our embassy in Paris. I think that's the only embassy where it's available now. Locally, the hard copies are available, and we sell it through the e-citizen platform. But to say this, that sports in Kenya first, sports in Kenya is from coast to coast. We have sports people. Even in this book, we've documented one of the first athletes from Mombasa.
Antau.
Yes.
Won gold in 100 and 200 yards, 60.
Because you'd only think it is in E10. We have athletes from Mombasa. We have athletes.
Lydia Stevens was also from Taita Taveta County.
Yes. Kitui, everywhere. And what does that speak to our DNA as our country? There's so much athletics. There's so much sports. We just need to put our hearts and minds into it.
Well, Lillian Kebeto, she is the CEO of the Kenya Yearbook Editorial Board. These are 2 sports books, but beyond that, they've curated Kenyan history in other ways. And I know when you do watch, you will actually say, KBC mnafaa kutoka kitu. The story of the cabinets is another that you have done. The cabinets of Jomo Kenyatta, you've done Daniel Arap Moi, and the Kibaki cabinets. I know the Uhuru cabinet is the next one. What's the story told here through these publications about people who the ministers who served Kenya?
Probably just to speak generally about our publications is we, as I said earlier, we document, through our publishing we document, and documenting is very useful for researchers, for academia, for students, for professionals. And we look at every sector of our society such that as a country we are able to go back a little bit in time. If it is a cabinet series, for example, we look at our governance structures, you know, of the different administrations. So that is something that we do. But currently we are focused on the current administration. Every administration has its priorities, and the current administration's priorities are around the bottom-up economic transformation agenda, where we have a focus on food security, affordable health, affordable housing, the digital economy, where we are all plugged in, and it's a space where sports comes in, the digital and creative economy, and the small and medium enterprises. So by sharing, we do this to share knowledge, and when we share knowledge, people are able to use that information for different things. They use it to appreciate the different sectors and see how they can invest. If they're investors, they see opportunities there if they're looking for employment opportunities, and that is the place where we come in. And ours is to continue partnering with the different sectors to showcase the things that are happening in those sectors through storytelling.
And you know,
so we have so much that is coming, and so much, and we will not only sports, not only governance, but even the other sectors like the ones I've mentioned.
Well, actually, one of the things that, you know, about the Kenya Yearbook is, while the name is Yearbook, so people may expect something every 12 months, is that there is an upscaling of the frequency of information. And now there are weekly bites and those. How was this conceived, and how and how to try and put them together into, because I'm just trying, for somebody who works in a newsroom, I have to be, with all the chatter that is around, I only have to decide these are the 5 things that matter this week. How are you able to put that?
We put that for you in a publication we call Agenda Kenya. We just frame the issues around our society at a particular week, and we put them for you in a way that's easy. During these times of information overload, readers consume information in small bites. So we have appreciated the reading habits of the Kenyan reader today, and we just put that in that digital publication. It helps you. So what happened this week in this sector, and what does it mean for me? Of course, we do that weekly, and then once we have done all this, it culminates into our almanac, the yearbook for that calendar year. If I can touch on I didn't come with a copy, but the yearbook for 2024, we were just looking at our resilience last year, 2024. So many things were happening in our society, but we spoke into the resilience of our nation. Kenyans, even in difficulties, we run the wheels of the country. We run the wheels of the economy. Today, Monday, children are in class. If they haven't closed school, workers are in the office. There's markets are alive. There's so much hard work in our country. And so last year, we just wanted to celebrate the resilience of Kenyans. It's in our national character. And we actually called that book Alakara. Alakara is a Turkana word for being thankful even when it is really difficult. So we, of course, the one for 2025 is coming up, but in the process, we are engaging, we are sharing information with Kenyans so that this information becomes of use of them in a structured manner. So that by the time the yearbook is coming at the calendar year, 31st December, there's a lot of messaging that we have done in these 364 days. Yes.
All right. Thank you very much. Lillian Kimeto, she is the CEO of the Kenya Yearbook Editorial Board. Weekly publications that are coming up. There's the Almanac, plus also books like this, 60 years of Kenya's Olympics, collecting medals, kickoff, and books, publications like this. Chan, iko KBC. Na KBC, tuliamua tufike Dar. So let's move over